Good afternoon. My name is Don Ladner, and I'm the Special Agent in charge for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Tallahassee Regional Operations Center. With me at the podium today is Taylor County Sheriff Bummy Williams, Perry Police Department Captain Cruz, Mark Leon with the FBI Tallahassee office, and Ralph Martinez with the Tallahassee ATF office. As you know, it's been an extremely difficult 2 days for the citizens of Taylor County and all the law enforcement and first responders in this community, and our prayers go out with all of them. Today we want to give you an update on the Timberland Ford shooting that occurred yesterday. Just to bring us up to background, as you recall, just before 10:30 yesterday morning, Earl Edward Clegg Jr., an employee of Timberland Ford, crashed his vehicle into the front of the dealership, exited the vehicle, and began shooting. While we don't yet know the motive behind his actions, that is something we're pursuing in the investigation. We continue to seek that and hope to come with answers soon. As you know, Taylor County Sheriff's Deputy Robert Lundy was on duty. He was in the dealership having his car serviced. When the shots began to be fired, he immediately responded. Gunfire was exchanged and Clegg Jr. was killed. Deputy Lundy was shot along with 2 civilians who were employees of Timberland Ford. A total of 4 employees were injured in that shooting. 2, as I just mentioned, with gunshot wounds. 1 was cut by glass, flying glass, and 1, due to the incident, complaining of chest pains. There was 1 customer who, while fleeing from the carnage that was taking place, injured herself, either twisting her back and shoulder area. Within a minute of when Deputy Lundy announced shots had been fired, first responders arrived at the scene. That's where we are, I think, is the last briefing we gave to you. We have some updates for you. We continue to move forward with this. It's a joint investigation, Taylor County Sheriff's Office, Perry Police Department, and assisted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the ATF. Anytime we have a shooting of this magnitude and workplace violence, the federal government comes forward and offers any and all assistance. That assistance has been offered both investigatively and also with community outreach and grief counselors provided by the FBI, as well as Florida Sheriff's Association and Chiefs of Police Association, that are here for those impacted directly, as well as those first responders and the community that may have those needs. We continue the investigation, but we do have some new information we will try to answer from previous questions given to us. The suspect exited his vehicle armed with a Remington 1100 semi-automatic shotgun, 12-gauge caliber, and began firing. After being taken down, found upon his person were additional ammunition, box and some loose shells for that shotgun. In his vehicle, he also had a second fully loaded 12-gauge shotgun, pump action, and a .22 rifle, fully loaded. He also had additional ammunition in the vehicle. While we do not know his motive, we feel confident that his intent was to shoot and hurt as many people as possible. And obviously, Deputy Lundy's actions ended this situation quickly. Concerning the suspect's, the deceased suspect's employment history, he had been with the Ford dealership for numerous years, 15 to 20 years. At the time of the shooting, he was in good standing. He was in good standing with the dealership. He had called in sick yesterday morning, just called in, said, not feeling well, won't be in today. There was no issues at the time. Shortly thereafter, he drove his truck through and the carnage began, or the shooting began. Sometime previously in his history, with employment history with the dealership, he had been let go due to some issues but those have been corrected, and he was once again back working and in good standing with the dealership. So he was not fired yesterday. As far as his motive, once again, that is a key central point to what we're trying to find out. There's one thing I want to make sure to be clear about. His family of the suspect's family, has been cooperating fully. I can tell you they're devastated. They're another one of the victims. They're longtime residents of this community, and I know that they've extended their heartfelt grief and concern for the victims of this, and for, as well as Deputy Lundy. They want answers as well, and we continue to work with them. At this time, I want to turn it over to Sheriff Williams. Sheriff.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I can honestly say that I'm proud to be here today, but hopefully we can all get through this. I'd like to say that today the Taylor County Sheriff's Office is praying for one of our own who yesterday jumped into action here in our own hometown. He was in the right place at the right time. I know you've all heard us say that. And he acted in good faith to protect the Taylor County residents. Deputy Lundy's training and skill enabled him to respond immediately, assessing the situation, acting quickly to save lives. Robert successfully made it through surgery yesterday, and at this time is in critical but stable condition in ICU. Updates as to his condition will continue to be given to you. I would like to say thanks to you, to my fellow sheriffs who have been here with resources and provide moral support, and for the contribution to the Deputy Lundy's family by the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association Lend a Hand program. We are deeply grateful to the many law enforcement agencies who responded for their support. We would also like to commend how helpful and resilient the Timberland 4 team has been during this time. Deputy Lundy is a husband, a father, and a true friend. He is a brother to all of us. I think probably all of you know that. We're a small agency and we're all family here. And when one's hurt, we all hurt. Deputy Robert Lundy has been a deputy sheriff for me for the Taylor County Sheriff's Office since March 2004. He has always exemplified hard work and traits needed to be an honorable and effective law enforcement officer. I'm proud to say that Robert Lundy is a deputy sheriff under my administration with the Taylor County Sheriff's Office. We ask for your continued prayers for all these families involved. As you know, there's a number of families, and please don't forget any of us. Thank y'all.
Captain Cruz, Perry Police Department.
Thank you. I'm Captain Jamie Cruz, Operations Commander with the Perry Police Department. We heard Deputy Lundy's radio call shots had been fired at about 10:28 a.m. yesterday morning. By 10:29, first responding officers were on scene. Officers of the Perry Police Department, the Taylor County Sheriff's Office, Florida Wildlife Conservation Commission, representatives from the State Attorney's Office were here, and they were on scene almost immediately. We had many other law enforcement officers and agencies come to assist afterwards, but admittedly we had many people there. As you're aware, Perry is a tight-knit community. This is a great place to raise a family, and we consider it safe. This is the last place you'd expect an act of violence as this to be committed. Just to let you know, we didn't prepare for this yesterday. We've been preparing for this for the last year. With the assistance of Amtech Lethal Systems and consultant Mike Altman, we started first responder and active shooter training with all the officers of the Taylor County Sheriff's Office, the Perry Police Department, and the Lafayette County Sheriff's Office. This training lasted for several days, and officers from all three of the agencies participated. Just last month, we conducted an active shooter scenario at a local school, along with fire, rescue, and Doctors Memorial Hospital, and the assistance of Taylor County Schools. We're continually training, working to increase our skills, and yesterday this dedication to law enforcement and that training paid off. This made the difference between life and death. As of right now, I'd like to give you an update on the civilians' conditions. All employees that received gunshot injuries are recovering at area hospitals at varying stages of recovery. Yesterday, everything went well. Deputy Lundy, from Deputy Lundy being there with his vehicle being serviced, to the first responders being in the immediate vicinity, We were well prepared for our officers to engage and respond to these acts. And all of these officers are to be commended for heroic actions on scene. We love our community, we love Perry, and our citizens deserve no less than the training that we've received. There has been a fund established at the Buckeye Community Federal Credit Union for Deputy Robert Lundy. This is to assist him and his family in this great time of need, and thank you for your support.
I'd like to introduce Special Agent Mark Leon of the FBI Tallahassee office.
I'm Special Agent Mark Leon from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Jacksonville Division. On behalf of our Special Agent in Charge, Michelle Klimt, and the FBI, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims, their families, and the entire Perry community. These shooting situations are rare but have tremendous impact on a community. Research has shown these types of incidents are typically very brief, lasting only a few seconds to a few minutes, and it is quick law enforcement intervention that moves the shooter's attention away from other potential victims. This is what happened here yesterday. It appears likely there would have been many more victims had it not been for the courageous actions of Deputy Lundy. We applaud the immediate response and cooperative spirit of all of the responding law enforcement agencies, and we were proud to be able to support their efforts. Thank you.
Before we move to questions, just letting you know the focus of this investigation. It is still an active, ongoing criminal investigation. It covers two phases. What occurred at the dealership, what the motive was, anything that can come forward, and then also anytime there's a use of force, particularly deadly force by a law enforcement officer, is required that investigation be done. The findings of this, once the investigation concludes, will be turned over to the State Attorney's Office for the 3rd Judicial Circuit for them to review. And then at that time, once they clear that case, then the entire case file will be open. We're here trying to provide information to you, the media, to get to our citizens. And with that said, we'll open up to questions. Now, please bear with us. There'll be some things that we cannot address and won't address, but in time we will get you your answers. Any questions, please?
Do we know where on the body each of the people who were shot were shot?
We do, but that is an active, ongoing portion of the criminal investigation at this time.
Was the deputy wearing a bulletproof vest at the time?
Sheriff, do you want to address that, or do you want to?
I prefer not to.
Okay. We'll get back once we've finished. Be honest with you, obviously with his condition, we have not been able to interview him yet. He's not in any condition to do that. At the point that that's concluded, we'll come back and be able to answer that question.
Now, was he, the Deputy Lundy, was he hit first and then he returned fire, or who hit first between Deputy Lundy and the suspect?
What I can tell you is that Deputy Lundy was back in the Service Bay area. An employee of the Ford dealership ran back to him and immediately notified him there was shots being fired. He moved to engage. We're still working out the site. I know this, that during the exchange, he was hit and continued to exchange gunfire.
Can you release the names of all the other victims?
Not at this time. We will do that in the near future. However, we're still doing follow-up interviews. Also, some of the victims, they're still going through an emotional trauma to this. Some of them haven't been interviewed yet. Their family members. At this time, we're going to withhold that, but we will get that to you as soon as those interviews have been completed.
You had said that Mr. Clegg had previous employment issues at the dealership. How far in the past was that? Or how recent or how far in the past?
Several years. And he had been back, was in good standing from everything. Once again, the investigation continues, the interviews continue on that, and that's some of the information we're going to be following up on. Anything and everything in his past, his current background, his employment, his personal background, things of that nature.
Were they behavior or performance issues?
We're still following up on those things to be able to find out what they are, and at this point it would be premature to be able to comment on those.
Do we know if he has a history of mental illness?
At this time, once again, those are things we're pursuing, And here's the bottom line, to be honest with you. We can get you information fast, or we can get information accurate. It's difficult to do both. So we're going to make sure that we do a thorough, complete investigation. At the time we have it, we will share that information. But what we don't want to do is speculate and then have that information be wrong.
There's all kinds of rumors floating around this area. Did he place any calls before this incident to indicate this might happen?
Those are all part of the investigation that's ongoing, and it would be premature to answer that right now. At the point that we have confirmed or we look down, that's obviously one of many avenues we're pursuing. Once we have confirmed those things, we will be able to release any information concerning that to you.
Was the shotgun that was used purchased legally, or are you still looking into how he got the firearm?
We're looking at that, but it was a legal shotgun that would, any person hunting would have had. It was not altered in any way. We're still waiting on preliminary, let me put it that way, preliminary results of that are that it was a legal weapon. But once again, that'll be, all weapons involved will be examined forensically, and we'll wait for the official report to confirm that.
Do you know how many shots were actually fired?
We are working on that. I would, at this point, we're waiting for the crime scene analysis to be completed and the report done. In the future, we'll have that information for you.
And do you know what the capacity of that gun that he actually fired was? How many rounds it holds, that type of thing?
Right. Once again, that analysis is ongoing as we speak, and it would be premature to speculate on that now.
Last question.
I have a question for Sheriff Williams. Can you talk to me a little bit about how this has impacted the men and women at the sheriff's office, how they're doing with this?
Honestly, I think, and I'm not trying to be ugly with this, I think you know, they are awfully upset. They're very troubled because, again, as I think I said previously, we're a very small department. We all like brothers and sisters. And one of us is hurt, down, or whatever, we all are. And I acknowledge to say, like with Robert, I don't believe you'll find one in department or in the other local agencies that will tell you they didn't like Robert. Robert was a great person. He was a good person for the community. He was always there to help folks. Sort of like I want to think I have been. I've tried all my life to help people. I've given away more than I've ever received, I think. But that's me and my wife. That's the way we are. That's the way we've always been. And to me, Robert was that kind of person. So therefore, you can see where the officers would be certainly hurt and disturbed about what's happened. They love Robert.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.